Welcome to Google Docs and sharing. This is a great video presentation that I think you will learn a lot from because I learned a lot in preparing it. Hi everybody, I am Meg Ormiston. I'm a former classroom teacher and now I help teachers with technology. If you've done any of the other modules, this series on Google is a little bit different. It's a little more of a tutorial. We built these because teachers begged to have it a tutorial like as if I'm sitting next to them and I'm walking them through. So that's how I designed it. So when you look at this, you'll be like, there's a lot going on. I strongly suggest, if you can, to watch the video on one computer or iPad and try to build and do on another one as we're going. So I want you to think about starting and stopping me often. And if you ever have any questions, here's my email. Feel free to do that, Twitter me, whatever. But I'd like you to feel free to go ahead and put questions. So it was funny. I had an intern in my office, and she was watching me present these and create these, and she goes, "Oh, please, can you share that with my mom? She just doesn't get it." And I thought, "Oh, okay, I'll share it with my friend, that is her mom." So let's get started. If you are brand new to Google Drive, I suggest you watch the module that right before this was about Google Drive. I'm going to assume that you know that you open up Google Drive, and one of the options is Google Docs. As you listen to me, Google Docs is sometimes called Docs, Doc, or Documents, all meaning the same thing. It means word processing. All right, so when you go ahead under your Drive menu, it says New, and then go down to Google Docs. It immediately launches you into a Google Doc, like what you see at the bottom. What I learned getting ready for this is if in the bottom, like in the middle of the page, if you see on the left those blue lines, if you click on those blue lines, it takes you to a screen I had never seen before, and I have been using this for years and years and years. So by clicking on the one on the left, we can go ahead and see a whole different environment. So it's a shortcut to what they call the Docs home screen. So let's take a look at what that looks like. Here is the home screen. And so what I learned is a number of the other ones like Drive, like Slides and Sheets also has this kind of different environment. I'm like, where have you been my whole life? Because what this does is it looks just at the documents created within Docs, not everything. So I was like, oh, I'm so excited. So this is the menu right on the left. If you click on it, it opens a panel on the left and there's different things there. This is one feature that is great. Search Google Drive. The search is like doing a great advanced search in Google. The search really lets you find things. Now let's look over to the right. You can change your view. I'm a very visual person. I like to have where I can see the documents versus just the names, mainly because I usually forget what I name my document. And so that's really important that you can view it in different ways. You can also sort it. This was new again to me too. I'm sure I could have found it, but I just never thought about it. And then we can also pick files and folders. And you can go ahead and there's documents, which are just like, if you'd imagine, just like one page, word processing documents, but you can also put those all in a folder. And we'll talk more about that. And it's really important to understand that. All right, you're ready to create a new document. You're going to pause me. You're going to click on the plus sign. Well, don't pause me yet, because let me give you the next screen so I can kind of show you what's going to happen when you click on the plus sign. Again, new to me, those three dots. I never thought to click on those three dots. And that's where you can do things like rename, remove, and open in a new tab. Like, for example, a tab across the top. I might want to keep this open, but open everything else in a different tab. I can do that with those three magic little buttons that I didn't even know were there. All right, now this is the Google Docs menu. What I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of walk you through as if you were sitting next to me and I was controlling your mouse. I am going to walk you through and talk to you kind of through some of the mistakes that I've made so you won't make them. First of all, Carefully name your documents. I can't tell you how many untitled documents I have within my drive because I've kind of raced on and forgot that save piece. Name your documents and be super descriptive. If you can't, as many words as you can, that's just going to help in the future if you have to do a Google search. So carefully name your documents. Again, this was new to me. I'm sure I could have found it, but I've always made a document and then dragged it to a folder. I never thought about just putting it right into a folder right as I'm naming it. Makes so much sense. I've always, created and then dragged over. Now I know I've told you I learned a lot of things. In between that, there's a little star. You can favorite things. So when I'm in the middle of working on a project, sometimes I will star or favorite it. That way, when I come back, I can look for that visual clue for me. This is the part that so many people struggle with. Within Google Drive, no matter if you're in slides, presentation, document, it doesn't matter. Everything is automatically being saved. You've named it at the beginning, but it is continuously saving. You don't have to remember that whole save as. It's just done for you, which is incredible. That what you're seeing there, it tells me how long ago it was saved. But it's saved. Everybody's like, how do I save? And there's no save because it's automatically being done. So that's kind of a learning curve when people get started. Now, I have to talk about your Google account. You are a Google Apps for Education school, and what that means is that you have a school account, but you also might have a personal account. And that's where you can always look in your upper right-hand corner, and that will tell you which account you're in. See where mine is my Gmail for this? Some other screenshots, you'll see me logged into a district account. You have to know what you're in. Think about your Gmail as personal home stuff and keep all your school stuff under your school name. You have access to different things based on how you're logged in. You can go ahead and add comments in a document. You can do this in some of the other things like sheets and presentations also. So you can do comments. And then we're going to get deeper in the next bit about sharing. Sharing the documents is what makes Google Drive fundamentally different from anything else. So sharing the documents. And so this little cluster of features is over to the right of the doc menu in the upper right hand corner. So sharing, let's talk about sharing. Sharing is caring. Sharing is very important. It's so important to understand. First of all, take a look at this screen. I got here by clicking on the share button. Look at the lock that's on there. That's really key to understand. Every document you create within Google Drive is private. You see it right in the middle of my screen. It says private. Only you can access. Everything stays private until you, the owner of the document, makes the choice to share it. So don't worry that it automatically is going to be shared. You make the choice if you're sharing it or not. And you can see right below that I'm the owner of the document. So let's say you work on a big team of 9 colleagues. You can always see who has created that document, and that's great. But you just have to think about that if somebody leaves your team, if they own all the documents, you want to transfer that before you go. And that's just a quick and easy transfer piece, but it's just kind of important to know that it's there. Okay, so now all docs are private. That's really key to understand. And that is the link. Look at that link. Yikes! These links within Google are huge. They're huge. And you would never want a student to sit down and try to type that in. So I'll be sharing different ways that you can be sharing that link, mainly copying and paste, so we don't have to type that out. All right, you can also invite people through email. They are going to get an email, and it goes, and says, hey, you've been invited to this document. So that's one way you can do it. If you have 120 students, we don't want to use email. There's different ways that we can go ahead and use that. And one of the modules covered Google Classroom for management. And that would be where you could take that link at the top And that's where you could paste that. So then the students would only have to do a click on the link. They wouldn't have to begin to type out one of those big addresses. So now, in this screen, you see that it's access private only to me. I want to change that. So I click on change, and now this is the screen. If you're working along next to me, your screen is probably going to look different from this. There's going to be a couple of additional ones. And one of them might be share with everybody in my school district. No, 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 no. That means the custodian gets it, and that means every other student gets it. That's what feature we really don't want to use. And so you want to go ahead and check how you want to do it. I usually use anyone with the link can access. That's the way I use it. And then I copy and paste the link. Or you can go ahead and do the email on the screen before if you want to do that. So I usually say anyone with this link, and then the second part of the sharing, what can they do? Do I only want them to look at my document? Then I do view. I might want them to look at my document, but I'm going to give them the extra comment. So what that basically means is they can't mess with my document, for a lack of a better term. But they can comment. Those will come up in the right-hand side. So that's a comment. But a lot of times I want us all to get on the same page. So let's say we're at a department meeting and we want to take notes right there. I want to create the document. I want to make it so you can edit it, and I'm going to share it with all of you so we're all on the same page, and you can then, everybody could take notes and organize and correct and things like that. So I usually use anyone with the link and can edit. So this piece right here, the sharing piece, where it takes the most practice. When you're using Google Drive and you're kind of a newbie, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to share it with the wrong people. You're going to get a request and somebody says, you didn't share it right, because they're going to get a request to say, let me in the document kind of thing. So you're going to make mistakes. Just don't worry about it. We're learning. Now look at the middle. I now have it changed. It's not private to me anymore. It's not locked anymore. I made it so anyone with the link can edit. And so that's what now the link, the hyperlink that's highlighted, the big horrible one, that has been modified. The permissions have been modified. And so what that means now is when I share that link with you, now you have the right to edit. So that's the sharing piece of it. This is the place, this is in this module, this is where I really cover sharing. In the other modules, it is the exact same thing, the sharing settings. And so once you understand the basics, this goes across everything within Google Drive. And so that's why I titled this Google Docs and Sharing, because the sharing piece is so different for everybody. It's so new. And that's okay, we're all learning. When you're done sharing, you hit the done button on the bottom and go right on with your work. So now we're back to Google Docs. Yes, there's the link to go ahead and share. Now we're back to Google Docs, and there's tons of features. Google Docs is a word processing program, but it is not. I don't think it will ever be as powerful as, say, Microsoft Office. What Google did is studied the main features that people use and then put those into their Google Docs. Now, there's things I love about Google Docs, and there's things that drive me nuts. But the good news is you could always move between Google Docs and maybe bring it back to Microsoft if you need some formatting kind of things in particular, and I'll talk about that. So let's go down the toolbar and make sure that it's pretty clear what's going on. All right, and of course, if you hover over any of these, they tell you what they are. Now at the beginning we have the print, undo, and the paint format tool. I need to use that more. Let's say I format a paragraph exactly the way I want, with the headings, the colors, whatever. If I copied that and I clicked on that nice little roller, I could paste that formatting into my next paragraph. I need to get better at using that. And then you have your usual, what view your then we have, you can zoom in, zoom out, really handy, so I can kind of see everything at one time. You've got some style headings. They give you some options like heading number 5, heading number 4, and you can use those, or we could always go over to the right and change our fonts, our colors, our size, all that kind of stuff. So you do have quite a few options right in here. Now here we can go ahead and insert links. We can insert a comment. We can insert, we can focus on the alignment, alignment left, alignment right, that kind of thing. All right. Now, we kind of skipped over the whole part about the bullets, the numbers, tab left, tab right kind of thing. That's all in there too. And then there's more tools, and there's line spacing also there. And this tool for me was new. It's editing options. And that what's really good is if we were a team of our 9 at the department level meeting, we could turn on the editing options and kind of watch everything happening in the document at one time, which is great. Now, one of the biggest complaints when Google Documents has been out a long time. And when it came out at the beginning, it was clunky. Clunky. That's my non-technical term for it. It was bad. And one of the things that people hated the most was they only gave us, I think, 7 fonts, or I don't know, about that. Oh, maybe it was big, it was 9. And everyone, especially teachers, loved their fonts. And so Google listened, and they've added a lot of fonts. And I don't think there's a limit to how many fonts you can have, which is really nice. And what they do is they have a whole font catalog that you can come in and select from. What I really like is I can come in here once and I can say, oh, I like that one, that one, that one. It automatically stays within my font. So I can go kind of font shopping, if you will, for free, of course, and kind of pick out anything, and it automatically is going to be in my list. And that's really, really nice. One of the problems with moving between Microsoft Word and Google Documents, for example, is fonts. A font might be available in Microsoft, but not available in Google. So this little font shopping will help you kind of get your fonts. So those of you that used to hate it, it's been fixed. That part has been fixed. All the rest of the formatting can sometimes also be a little dicey. Now the file menu, let's just do quick. Make a copy. This is key. If somebody shares a document with you, let's say we're going back to school and I want to and your friend made you a parent information collection form or something like that. As soon as your friend sends it to you, make a copy. And it's just kind of like the old black line masters. You have a master and then you have your copies. Same thing here. And when you make a copy, make sure that you put your title, remember, be descriptive there. The revision history, I've mentioned it, but you cannot be anonymous in Google. Every move you make is there, and we can show that. And so let's say that a student thinks if they delete everything, there won't be any homework tonight. Not so much. You can go back and just go back, see what they did, and then talk with that individual student as needed. Now, you can download files in different formats from Google. So a lot of times I'll already have a file made in Microsoft, but I want to do that whole collaborative piece with it. So I will upload it to Google, do the sharing, but then I might download it and put it back into Microsoft for doing more advanced formatting. I would say when you're thinking about Google Docs, there's formatting, but it's limited. I mean, if you have to have the dotted line and it has to be in the right place, bring it back to Microsoft to do that. But for the most part, Google Drive is really good at that collaboration piece. So let's say you want to bring it back to Microsoft, that's where you would download. This is kind of neat, and I need to do more of this, where you can actually publish this to the web. So you can take your document that you're working on, let's say it's an assignment for students, you can publish it right to your web page. And the nice part is, you could have figured out if you were a computer programmer, but now Google makes it so much easier for that. All right, page setup, same thing. You can go ahead and, just similar to Microsoft. Now there's really cool things. One of the things about Google Drives, Google Docs, and everything is that it plays well with others, meaning that the pieces that go, you can insert things very, very easily. So let's take a look at the insert menu. Images. There's tons of images. We'll get to that on the next screen, something brand new that Google has added. The equation editor. This was Math Teachers Unite. This is finally been added to Google Drive. That was a frustration for a lot of math teachers. The drawing, it reminds me back, I can't even remember the program, back in the early Apple days where there was a Corel Draw, I think, or something. I don't want to date myself that much. But what's nice is this gives you a little drawing environment right within your word processing document, which is really cool. Took me back. Inserting a table. I use tables for everything, especially like structured note taking. So let's go back to our meeting. We're in our meeting. We could put the topics on the left, and then all of the discussion about the topic goes on the right in that table. It's just organizes everything versus just an open blank word processing document. They've added this, the insert header and footer, which is really nice, and images. Google has recently purchased all the images for Life magazine, and they have stock images now. And that is great because the images are beautiful. And in the stock images, your students are safer away from inappropriate pictures than if they were just out doing a Google search. And so that the stock images really, I think, was a really nice addition. So what you do is you just put in the word that you're searching for, and then do you want to do Life, stock images, or of course a Google image search. So that's a really nice feature. Now, there's a whole bunch of add-ons within Google, and I learned 3 new ones today that were just, I'm like, this is so exciting. And so these add-ons, again, if you look at the bottom of this list, get add-ons. There are so many add-ons, and basically an add-on is a little piece of software made by another company that hooks into Google as an add-on. And so this, hands down, is my favorite. Take out your pen or pencil, jot down the spelling of this. Kaizena. I call it Kaizena. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. It is a Japanese word. Kaizena. Kaizena makes it possible for you to open up a student's document, highlight text, and leave them a voice comment right in their document. Woohoo! They open it up and there's your voice, and you don't have to sit there and type or write everything out. It's wow. All right, that's one of my favorites. You can go and get some more add-ons. The one I actually played with today was speech recognition. I said wow, I think 3 times in the office today. Wow, because it works. I recorded an article. I wrote an article today that had over 1,000 words, and it misheard about, over 1,000 words. I would say about 5 out of the 1,000 that like a totally random word came in there, but it only misspelled, out of all the words it recognized, it only misspelled somebody's name. I was like, wow. So it's wow. Be ready. I want to hear your wows about that. Where do you go? You go to add-ons, and then you can go ahead and add some of these on. I do want to tell you, I'm going to go back to here. Well, I am disappointed a little bit, but it's the reality of the internet today. Some of these, like the Pro Writing Aid, there's some great features there, but some of the features, the ones I really want to use, of course, are premium. So they are starting to charge for some of these, but we know what that is like. Here is what the speech recognition looks like that I was working on. Here's what Kaizena looks like. So you highlight, and then there's a little like player, if you'd imagine, down the side, and those are your comments to students or colleagues. Sometimes the written word just, you lose something with emotion, or you want to go deeper. I love Kaizena, love it. All right, there's also spelling in research, the research tab. Of course, spelling, spell check. You've got your word count that I used today, of course. Be careful with the translate. It doesn't really translate, and you certainly don't want to offend your parents. All right, research your document without leaving it. So take a look at this. So you are writing away, checking it out. This is what I'm doing, my voice recognition. I click on research, look on the right. It automatically is, you can search right there, but then once you find something, let's say you find the image that works in your document, it will automatically cite that image for you. You can choose MLA, whatever format that you want, right here. I don't have to go out to 20 different places. It's right here. Teach this to your students the first week of school. This is exciting stuff. All right, Google Documents. Now, I hope you started and stopped me all the way through because you need to practice, 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 practice. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a great day.